This is me, Julian Vuong.
Godbless to the life!
I've always been pretty happy in life. I would laugh, smile, dance, because that's just who I've always been. I always like to imagine, even as a young adult, that there's always an inner child in me. Currently, I'm 20. I'm still studying at the moment, and I've come into another chapter of my life just after finishing my second year of uni. Being a uni student is some of the most freeing times in your life.
My first year was mostly online. There wasn't much to uni life in that year, and I spent most of that time just working on my passions and with my friends. But for my second year, I met some pretty amazing people. With balancing all other things in my life like trial training, journaling and working, student life became hard and busy.
Growing up, I've always had an enormous amount of pressure to have things figured out. I remember this one question I was asked in a grade 2 project. What do you want to be when you grow up? With most conversations as you're older being directed towards your future, it's hard to know the answer to that question when everyone around you seems to know what they want out of life. And when you graduate high school or even as a uni student, most people don't even know who they are, let alone what they want to do. A typical week of my life as a uni student involves, on Monday, I would work in the morning, and then after I would begin studying and journaling. Then in the evening, I would go to the gym with the boys and would see Raf and Fabes. And then after I had Monday night Palmer with the boys. On Tuesdays, in the morning, I would train with the Porterhouse boys for Track Tuesdays, and then I'll go for a swim with Josh straight after. In the evening, I had work. On Wednesdays, this was my internship day. I went to a high performance centre where they trained athletes. I spent the mornings commuting there and going over to their education seminars. And from then on, I spent time in the city. Then in the evening, I went back and had my evening shift at the performance centre and I would train beforehand. On Thursdays, I had running in the mornings with some of the boys, and then I'll get a lift from Muller, where I had a full day of classes from 9 to 5.
Damn, bro. What'd you get? Squat?
In the evening, I would hop on the bike. On Fridays, I would wake up at 4 a.m. and head over to my placement in the mornings. From then on, I spent time in the city and I studied there. Most of the time on Fridays, I spent this time setting plans to meet up with my friends as well.
3100. Yeah, that's a guy.
On Saturdays, in the morning, I would go for my long run. Then in the afternoons, I had work with the knee. On Sundays, I would do a long ride with all the boys. And we're all training for an Ironman. We went to some pretty amazing places. In the evening, Gibbs would come over for our Sunday night tradition.
10 seconds left! 3, 2,
Maintaining a routine is important, especially to stay on track with your goals. However, one thing that I realized was that after a while, life began to look quite similar. While I loved my day-to-day life and the experiences it brought about, I realized at times being flexible and adaptable with my routine allows for opportunities to learn, to grow, and to socialize. So with that, I started doing one small thing each week that took me out of my regular pattern. And I started to discover the small little adventures in life. I dedicated more time with friends and people I haven't seen in a while. I went to places I never would have imagined. I ran a half marathon to uni wearing a lab coat. I did a random plumbing job with a guy from England for a day. And I started being more comfortable spending time by myself. Such as going to the city where I would study there and also talk to strangers and be fascinated by their stories.
just got some food, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Uni and young adult life is some of the most confusing times in life. As humans, we constantly fear the unknown, especially of the uncertainty of the future. You'll meet people all around that think they truly know what they want to be doing, but really, everyone is probably just as confused as you. Instead, I started focusing my energy to the things I love doing, because doing that will grow you more as a person than academics could ever do. You'll come across some of the most amazing amazing people that also share a same mindset to you. And if you don't know what you love, say yes to the next opportunity that arises. You never know where that could lead you to. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I would have never found an interest for storytelling if I didn't start editing a random video, or training for an Ironman if I never came across the Porterhouse Boys, or writing 500,000 words each year and creating a book about my life if I never started journaling. It's alright to be confused. It's alright to be not sure where life could take you, and I guess that's the beauty of it. In a world so big, being confused is the essence of what it means to be human. But be bold, put yourself out there and live with intention. You will force your mind to grow and learn, expanding the character you are and learning more about yourself. You only start learning and growing and taking more of what you want out of life if you put yourself out there. Not having all these answers to this beautiful thing called life let me open to exploring, despite how uncomfortable that made me. So if there was anything I would say to my future self, whether it's in 1 year time or 5 years time or 10 years time, is to live a fulfilling life. I don't have to be rich or live in a nice house. I just want to think to myself, wow, I'm truly glad I did the things that I
Life is like a child's playground for you to discover all these different dreams, goals, hobbies, and passions. All you have to do is just go out there and do it.